It's me, Vera, here to remind you that this is an adult podcast. That means we're going to deal with tough topics. Take a break if you need it, and be kind to yourself, because we sure won't be.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Stitch of Fate, a Vampire the Masquerade 5th edition podcast. As always, I am your storyteller, Mike and Martin, joined by my four wonderful players, Dot, Bub, Josh, and Mark. Hello to all of you.
Hello.
Hello.
Good.
Oh, hi, friends.
No one can see this, but Josh is phasing in and out of existence in front of us as his camera cannot focus on his pale pallor.
Look, it's characterful. I am getting in character. I don't think Sean has had a clear day in his life.
That's fair. Yeah, that's true. You're getting into character. I appreciate that. We can all appreciate that, I think. Just put the drugs away while we do this. That's all.
So meta of you, Josh.
Sorry.
It's like Josh raises his hand. He's got needles hanging out of his arm. He's just like, hang on. All right.
These method actors.
Oh.
Yeah, right? My day, we just played pretend. All right. Well, with that said, on that silly start, let's bring everything down, rein it in, and see what our coterie is up to. We find the four of our coterie members down in the blood room, standing amongst each other with the still corpse of Prince Panhard lying quietly where she lay the past few weeks. You mill amongst yourselves, as though a single light dangles from the ceiling, giving you some illumination as the night is still early. Tonight you are expecting a visit from Qadir, the sheriff. A week has gone by and quite a lot has happened since he's last spoken to you. Even if the four of you have had conversation, it hasn't been much before you hear the door swing open, shut behind, and the quick, steady steps of dress shoes on the wooden stairs down to the concrete floor of this basement. The long dark hair of Qadir is quickly caught as he passes by the first door and enters the second. And as he strides in, passing all four of you, first passing Max, then Sean, then Duke and Vera close to the body, not making eye contact with any of you, he quickly drops to one knee, placing his index finger and his thumb on the chin of Prince Panhard and gently tilting her head towards him. Her hair gently wisps to the side as it clears past her eyes, and he checks for fresh wounds as he does every time. Opening the eyes a little wider and mumbling something to himself before standing back up. Prince Panhard has been clear of any obvious wounds now for many nights, and it's obvious to the four of you that this is frustrating Qadir on this particular evening. He spins back to the four of you, giving you each attention and a nod, before opening the floor. I'm expecting a report.
Qadir, before we speak in business, may I address the elephant in the room?
He maintains a stoic gaze with you, but does not say anything verbally.
It's very clear that the prince has healed, but is not healed.
He simply gives you a gentle nod, but again, no verbal cue or answer to your statement.
We told you from the beginning that we would assure that until the prince was well, that she had a place to rest. But unfortunately, this room is not as secure as I'd like it to be.
His gaze does break with yours as it scans the room, either sizing up its own security or taking note of it for the first time that it may lack in the security that he'd like. He does eventually speak, after taking a look around. Yeah. Well, I did expect her to be up by now. Time is passing and the council's getting restless with her missing, or with her disappearance, rather.
Yeah, we're
we're thinking it might be best to move her to, as they say, a more secure location, you know? And we got one in mind.
I'm all ears.
Well, if we want to keep her somewhere off this site, there is a location I could suggest, though you're not going to like. Who will need to help us?
Elaborate.
If I did so, your business for the evening would shift, no doubt. So I will stay to the point. We have a place, if it is an option, but Duke also had a thought. Though not the most ideal, it is the most secure.
Two ideas, both presented in a vague manner. If one of you wouldn't mind speaking up and giving me details.
One is significantly easier than the other, and will result in less middlemen. I think that we should simply bury her. We need to move her to what is similarly known as a gravedigger's cage, something protected. Hold her up in a wall.
And the second option?
To move her down the street. To a school.
Should fit quite nicely in a little urn.
I did not hear a third option, Qadir.
May I? Did you say what I think you said?
Yeah, Ixnay, kid, Ixnay.
Sorry, just thinking it.
Yeah, but, you know, you don't have to say everything that comes into your head, you know, especially when we got a very distinguished guest.
Qadir's eyes merely shift to Sean, and the only words that come out of his mouth are, "Strike two, kid."
I was, sorry, thinking of someone else.
There's a bizarre and significant amount of pressure, no doubt, on everyone at this point, and despite my colleague's mouth running afoul, yet again, this is something that we can get around. Now, Qadir, I believe that the options are to hide her away, even from your own eyes, in a gravedigger's cage, something protected, even potentially warded, or to find a third party, someone that may be able to hide her, that is operating outside of both any anarch, Camarilla, and anything in between.
His eyes never leave Sean while you speak.
Someone who owes us their life.
He replies to you, but maintains his gaze on Sean. This school, wouldn't that be it sounds like it would be a risk. A masquerade breach we're asking to happen. This person at the school that you know and trust would have to be let in that the prince is now, as she is. Sounds too dangerous.
Then there are plenty places on site where we could, as Duke suggested, brick her up. I want to be transparent in the fact that the Harpy of the city now has an open invitation to this club.
Arturo has his ways.
He does. Nonetheless, contingencies had to be made. And information is needed, so we're bargaining.
And do you have a location already picked out for where you would place her?
Vera turns to Max. You know the basement of this theater better than anyone. Tell me there's a hidey hole that needs a bricking.
Yeah, there's a few places I can think of. Install a false wall, brick her up inside it. You know, nice old-fashioned oubliette-like, right?
No sun down there at any point, and Max is always nearby.
Oh yeah, and Max Jr. too, don't forget him.
Could never.
You will inform me of where this place is.
We would happily inform you, Qadir, but once this is put into place, you will not be able to see her. We will not be able to see her. It will be entirely up to her to push through the brick encasing in the cage itself.
Will there be anybody guarding the area?
I will see to it as a personal favor to the Camarilla that it is warded. I will operate within inside the chantry and my newfound contacts, acquiring the efforts to see that it is unseen by specific eyes.
I will need somebody there, should she wake and arouse and be hungry. We cannot risk our prince going into a frenzy. Food will have to be prepared.
We can afford to give her everything that she needs. Plus, this place is now guarded by a few Russian meatbags, and they are hearty men. Worst case scenario, we'll feed all of them to her.
He lets the silence settle and linger in the room for a while. His eyes finally break with Sean's before looking to Vera. When do you plan on having this done?
As soon as possible, but we did not want to touch her or move her without your grace.
He nods. I'm going to speak a bit more frankly than I have in the past. The longer the prince remains in torpor, the more restless the kindred in the city are becoming. Rumors swirl. Most false, lies, theories, of course. But it doesn't change the fact that the longer the prince is missing, the more others are seeing an open throne to take as their own. We do need to begin entertaining the idea that she will not rouse from this supposed torpor.
Qadir, there is also a bit more of a vitriolic approach to this. Through some of my studies in the occult, I am aware that there are methods to force a kindred from torpor.
What are you referring to exactly?
There are abilities outside of even my own clan that is capable of this. Though we'll have to pull some strings, find boons and favors, the like.
If you have line on such things. And he kind of just nods. Take the lead.
I will. I'll run the tail and see how far it can take me. We'll chase this rabbit. Though we might need to search for things that are outside of even the chantry.
As exciting as new politics might be in the wake of such an idea that she may not rouse, what do you say we need to do to assure that these rumors are not substantiated? What are we going to do, Qadir, in 2 months' time if she's not back? We are not guilty of the state that she is in, yet we still house her, and we still look guilty.
I wish I had an answer for that question.
Then we will continue to assure her safety. And I'm going to do everything in my power to get my hands on Larson and some answers. Does that suit you?
It does.
Then you trust...
The importance is the stability of government here in New York, not our particular prince that rules over it. You should know that, Vera.
Oh, I know that.
If in time, the stability of our government is in question, we may have to announce that she is forever gone. Move toward installing a new prince properly here in New York.
You should know by now, Qadir, that the one thing that causes an unstable government is a new open seat. It would be a lot easier just to put her back on it. You want stability? Don't shake the foundation.
I agree entirely. The home run here is waking her up.
Not everything can be a home run, Qadir. Most games are won, base by base.
We need to extend some of our resources with inside the Camarilla then. This is simply not something that we can afford entirely on our own, and I'm most certain that Prince Banhard would be more than gracious to pay us back for whatever it is that we relinquish for her immediate revival. But some things are just simply out of our purview. If we go knocking, asking for things that we cannot afford, we need to immediately be able to afford them, as offers will not last very long.
Do you have anything in mind, Mr. Remond?
The moment that I discover whatever that cost may be, Qadir, I will need to find you immediately. Should I see to the tower?
He thinks for a while. His eyes roll. He taps his foot. The tower would be your best bet, yes.
Very well. I'll see to you there the moment that I discover anything.
And here's the thing, Sheriff. Believe it or not, we might have bigger fish to fry than this.
Right, the club.
Ah, yes, how did that go? I was informed this evening that the club burned down last night. Was that your doing?
No. Didn't have nothing to do with that, or with what you may have heard about, all them bodies being discovered in the basement. We went in, did the job, took care of them 3 thin bloods that you'd put a target on. That went fine, lickety-split, no problem. They dusted. I wasn't actually even sure that thin bloods were gonna dust, but they did, so not much of a cleanup issue there. But down in the basement, all them people, they weren't just killed, they were sacrificed. They were sacrificed to summon something.
He cocks his eyebrow. You see his stature kind of just tense up a bit. What the hell do you mean?
I'm talking demon bullshit, you know? Creatures from hell.
He scoffs very quickly, and it's almost like that tenseness loosens up. Demons.
Max, do you have the drawing? The one that Duke helped finish?
Yeah, I busted back in after the cops had been there. Got this. This is what we were looking at here, this ritual circle. But more than that, I seen it with my own eyes. Some kind of weird thing, its skin hanging off of it. It was a demon, no question about it.
He looks to you, and then he seems to look past you, and he turns around and over his shoulder before looking back at the prince. Then to the 4 of you again. Are you under the assumption that they're connected? What's happening to her and infernalism?
Look, I'm gonna be honest with you, Sheriff. I don't know anything about this magic bullshit, but I think it's pretty obvious that when you got Larson involved and his little friend, that probably there's some kind of connection.
Fuck. The Chantry's gonna be our best bet. Anything to do with... Are we dealing with the Bali? Do you understand? Are you even sure?
I spoke with the regent at the Chantry, discussed some of the runic sigils displayed here in the magic that may have been seen by Maxwell and Sean. And the regent even discussed the word Bali. Admittedly, I have an immediate lacking of knowledge in the area of the Bali.
He just shakes his head. Yeah, pathetic low clan, desperate for power, clawing at things they shouldn't to get it. If it's them, then we will kill them. And if Larson's involved with them, the only punishment that would suffice is removing his head.
All in on that one.
Just so as you know, I think my old associate Gustav might be involved too.
What makes you believe? What leads you to believe that?
Yeah. I got my ways. Gustav's at the bottom of everything rotten.
I haven't heard from that particular man since the night of the event, come to think of it.
Yeah, well, he's probably holed up somewhere growing his balls back, but believe me, he ain't out of the game yet.
You do actually get a smirk out of Qadir when you say that. Well, you've made my night more complicated and more distressful than I thought it would be.
I'm glad we could be of service.
I need to go speak with some people. Pardon me. You see him think and chew on his
Qadir.
lip before he says that, and then he briskly gets to walk away. And as Vera says Qadir, he stops and looks over his shoulder.
Thank you for your consistent help in the matter.
Let's hope you thank me by the end of all this.
Let's hope you're thanking us.
He looks like he's going to say something. Very clearly kind of inhales to finish, and then he just bites his tongue. And he turns his head and starts scampering up the stairs very quickly. You hear the door swing open and then shut.
Oh hi, it's me, Vera. While you're taking a break, take a moment to visit dieharddice.com. Die Hard Dice is a sponsor of this little podcast. They make what we do possible. During checkout, make sure to use the code STITCH-APR and you'll get 10% off your entire purchase. And we get a little cut for our own resources. Sounds like we only roll with the best.
Max, Duke, would you do me a dear favor?
Sure thing.
And leave the room momentarily so that I can have a moment alone with Sean.
Yeah, sure thing, Vera.
As he walks by Sean on his way out, he's just like,
Yeah, you pushed it too far, kid. You pushed it too fucking far.
Max
That's the test.
squeaks by, and as you step out the door, Max Jr. comes clambering over, climbing up your pant leg, clawing and jumping his way up your back until he settles on your shoulder, and you walk away.
Duke leaves.
Duke quietly leaves. The door shuts. Prince Panhard still lies in the room with the two of you, as Vera stands tall.
Would you like to have a seat or not, Sean?
Yeah. Sean's gonna sit down next to the head of the prince.
Tell me, Sean. This want of yours. This need to save the Thin Bloods. Tell me. How bad do you want it?
Well, I value my own life pretty highly. And all of the Thin Bloods that I've met that aren't Larson, they're just caught between pricks like Larson and
pricks like you.
Qadir.
You mean?
Well, I mean...
Qadir has done nothing but help us.
He told us to behead 3 of them. We did it.
He told us to behead 3 Thin Bloods that should never have been sired to begin with by a woman that is a criminal and should be slain alongside her primogen lover who does not deserve the seat in which his ass resides. So let me say something very clearly to you, Sean. All of those individuals have done nothing but make our lives more miserable. When she came to my doorstep along with Larson and told me that you would be coming into our care, I took you in graciously. And I did so because I had just a strange feeling in my gut. And when I get those feelings, Vera likes to lean into them. It's the same feeling I had with the Duke and Max. With Max Jr. when he was in that cage. I could feel it. So here we are. And you would disrespect the sheriff of New York City in my club by making a joke about torching the prince?
She gets it.
Clearly.
The camera pans to the prince as she blankly is continuing to stare, mouth agape at the ceiling.
So since my gut has never failed me, and since for whatever reason Qadir continues to have the patience to allow us to stand with our heads on our bodies, and since the prince's absence means political upheaval, which is good for good for a lot of folk. I will give you another chance.
We know one thing. He's very angry if you insinuate that the prince might die, so we know whose side he's on.
I swore that I would keep her safe. And that means if I've got to do it until eternity, I will.
Yeah, everyone's very quick to imagine a future without you, and he turns to the prince.
And we watch as Sean's gaze does turn, the camera then shifts from your profile down to her.
The thing is I don't actually dislike her in any way. It's her
Me
distaste.
either.
Huh, really?
She put a thin blood on a council, and that means something.
She put Larson on the council, and that's a stain on her reputation.
I mean, that was a stupid thing to do, but thin bloods in general, we're not that bad.
That being said, I don't dislike her. It's her distaste for me that keeps this hostile. But that's not why I kept you behind class, Sean. So like I said, Sean, I'm gonna give you a second chance. You want to protect some thin bloods? I have a mission for you.
Oh, shit.
I told Qadir that I would do everything in my power to solve this Larson problem. And what better way to weed out a rat than to send in more rats? We will infiltrate his little nest and his whole operation, and we're going to do it using thin bloods. And I'm going to be very transparent with you about it, because you're going to go find them.
Sweet.
I have a very specific type that I want.
Oh?
Yes, because just like you, I'm going to put them to work.
We'll see what they think of that, but it's probably better than losing their heads.
You didn't question it when I dropped a load of money in front of you, did you?
Oh, I want to keep that. I'm not...
And so will they. I want artists, Sean. Your little street degenerates. The graffiti artists, the ones who throw paint around, all of the above. I want them to start making art. We need a new audience, more money here at the club, and it seems that my oil paintings are boring my clientele. That or they're working with lupine, and I'm not into that kind of business.
People like pictures of dogs.
No, Sean, you like pictures of dogs. I'm not talking about pictures of dogs.
Hard cut to his room where he's just got the tons of different dogs playing poker pictures all on his wall.
Go out there, hit the streets, and find a couple artists. Something, I don't know, you would like. Good enough where I can sell it to a bunch of snooty art dealers and they're going to hang it on the wall and think they're cool or whatever.
Okay.
And when all is said and done, I'll pay your artist friends very well. And they're going to work for us and infiltrate Larson's operation, do you understand?
I like it. Yeah.
Wonderful.
I've never tried. How do you make a thin blood?
I'm going to pretend you did not answer or ask that question. Because I don't know that if I have the entire patience to answer it today for you, Sean. But maybe tomorrow, when I've reset a little bit, you can come to me when sun's down and I'll try to answer how to make a thin blood. Until then, please, no more threats against the prince.
Okay.
Especially not in front of Qadir. Put it in your diary or something.
You saw his face though, right?
Sean, I love looking at Qadir's face.
Yeah, I also saw his face when he was being cheeky with you. He was about to leave. I don't know what that's about, but I think, you're in there. Okay, I'm off. Have a lovely evening.
Sean quickly spins on his heels and jaunts out toward the door, swinging
Quicker
it
than
open,
normal.
leaving. Yeah,
He knows
exactly.
he's about
Quicker
to
than
get
normal. The door
backhanded.
swings open and closed. I'm curious, did Duke or Max wait nearby at all? Occasionally Duke is just there, so I'm just curious if he was.
I don't think so this time. I
Okay.
feel like if he's earned a reprimanding, then it's probably fair that he gets that without an audience.
Sure. Where would Would you guys just, out of curiosity, would you have just kind of dissipated into your own rooms and around the club for the evening?
For Duke, sure.
So where would, unless Mark, you had something else in mind, sorry.
No, I think Max probably would have just taken Max Jr. back to the now expanding cat gymnasium that's in his room.
How, is it like now half of the closet? Like what is the cat gymnasium looking like right now?
It's a fairly big storage closet, and a lot of
as Sean kind of jaunts by the closet, the camera catches a glimpse.
Yeah, and actually, as Sean passes by, Max calls out from inside the room, "You sure like to live dangerously, kid." As he's like using a staple gun to put up some more pieces of like fabric or carpet remnants.
You can hear it just staple after staple after staple as Max speaks over that. Do we see Sean kind of like skirt on his feet and stop?
You just hear from down the corridor. He's, "I'm not gonna live forever."
Yeah, you got that right.
And as the camera kind of pans and fades, where is Sean going? Out of curiosity.
Sean's probably he's gonna go get some noodles and then hit the streets.
The camera's gonna hang with Sean for the moment. As the camera cuts, we see Sean in the midst of a crowd on the street grabbing some noodles and chowing down. What kind of noodles do you enjoy, Sean?
The
Street
ones
noodles?
with the
do you have
peanuts.
like packed ramen? Like, what are you thinking?
Just like the noodles where you just cram in a bunch of them with like pork and like satay even.
And as you're kind of munching on noodles, walking through the streets, how exactly would Sean go about looking for thin bloods that are good at graffiti?
He's gonna search around Brooklyn for quality street art.
Okay.
That he sees and thinks is cool. He's probably gonna then Google them, just like reverse Google image search.
So you're just gonna look at cool artists and basically hope that they're thin bloods in some way.
Well, he's gonna cross-reference that with like the seedy underbelly contacts that he has.
Okay. Refresh my memory. Do you have points in criminal contacts or anything?
No, but he does have both druggies that he feeds on, and also a bunch of washed out criminal scum allies.
Okay. And your hope is to use your criminal scum allies to cross-reference cool artists that you see and hope that they are
people that have gone missing,
gotcha.
People that changed habits, like they're not seen out in the day, sort of thing.
I gotcha. Okay, cool. So first, I guess let's what is Sean's eye for art? Does he have any like points in craft or anything?
He has 1 point in craft.
Yeah, I mean, that's that. I don't know what else I would use to roll, really. Wits and wits craft.
I don't know.
Yeah, let's screw it. I'm gonna call for a wits craft roll, a bizarre ass dice pool. But as Sean is as we see Sean casually strolling through the New York streets, as people are passing by, and you see him bringing up a mouthful of noodles every so often, his kind of head just turns left and right as he openly is gazing through down alleyways and big giant murals on walls and brick walls, like just to see what catches his eye. Give it to me, Sean. Let's see that roll. You rolled a 3. You rolled as many successes as you possibly could without critting. That's great. And so what kind of art is Sean looking for? Is there a particular style, a particular theme that he's looking for?
Sean's going to be looking for portraits. He's going to be looking for stuff that is neon in color as well.
Very bright neon portrait style stuff.
And also, he's thinking about what Vera said. He's going to be looking for things that people can put on their wall with, after spending a lot of money and feel like they're cool just by purchasing their credibility, sort of thing.
Gotcha. All right. There's a few that you end up really, like sticking out to you. These gorgeously bright neon murals, like you said, kind of just portraits rather, across these walls. And while there's a variety of different tags on different portraits and stuff, there's one that really continually catches your eye. This particular style or this particular artist, there just has incredibly striking visuals, really exaggerated features on their on the portraits of the people that they produce, but in a way that seems to be speaking in a kind of like a not in a cartoonish way, I guess is what I'm trying to say. It doesn't, the exaggerated features more kind of accentuate the more interesting aspects of the human face that they're putting out there. This particular artist goes by the name of Milos. That's the only name that you catch that is consistently on the ones that you're like, oh, that one's really cool. Oh, it's that name again. Oh, it's that name again. You see it 4 or 5 times over your course of 2 or 3 hours of walking these city streets aimlessly, I imagine, just kind of like losing yourself in the New York City streets to just look for art and go about.
Yep.
We'll see that's the name you end up pulling. However, can I get a wits awareness from you while you're out?
Mm-hmm. Man, I need to spend some XP on these dice pools.
Yeah, your wits awareness is not... Oh!
The one time.
Messy critical on your wits awareness. That gives you a 5. Another max, literally max pool here. You 5 successes. As you're gazing up at one particular mural of this seems to be this these 3 people all communally sitting together, and looks like they're having some sort of really enticing conversation, all laughing in this picture. Your eyes kind of dart around a little bit left and right, and you catch something that you think you see is familiar, but for a moment you don't really pay too much mind to it. There's a lot of neon happening, and maybe you just saw something out of the corner of your eye. As you dart your eyes over, you don't see anything there. But as you look around again, you're about to break away, and Sean's writing down on his on like a notepad just the name of the artist, and he pockets it, and it goes to finish his last bite of noodles, and you can actually hear him slurping up the last of it before he tosses the cardboard box as it clutters to the ground. Takes a deep breath and steps into the crowd. Just as you step into the crowd, almost as though that supernaturally or even like religiously, the people part briefly as you step in, and you can see clearly, standing on the other side of the street between the pedestrians, just as the audience hears the music rise of her particularly favorite song, we do see the cat ears of pink and green sitting on a familiar face as she gazes at you directly. Just as the people part, they too cross, and she disappears into the crowd.
Sean is going to follow her.
Ooh, we are gonna follow. Okay, can I get a wits awareness again?
No.
Well, you lost her just as quickly as you found her. Would you like to re-roll one of those die?
He would try extra hard, so I'm going to do it on the off chance that it's accidentally rolls 2 dice and get a crit, but no, that's nothing.
Nothing. No, that's unfortunate. With complete critical failure, while you caught a glimpse of her once, what we see Sean as he tosses the box where the noodles once kind of hung, we see him jaunt across the street. A car actually honks at him as he runs across for a moment. It just almost hits him.
Piss off. He shouts piss off at the car.
Yeah, we see Sean shouting piss off as it almost bumps into his leg. You kind of skirt off to the right for a minute, finish your jog over, and as you cross over to the other side of the sidewalk and you look around, you truly cannot find her. Sean continues to push through the crowd, maybe going a block or 2 in either direction, kind of just looking around, but not a single time do your eyes ever catch hers. Would Sean head back home? What would Sean do at this point?
Sean's plan is to probably go and see his friends.
The ones at the club, or the ones at their dirty apartment where you
probably the ones at their dirty apartment, because from there he can like ask questions, and they will percolate throughout the underbelly.
Do you go to Ed's like last time?
Yeah, sure.
So as we see Sean kind of standing amongst the crowd, his head turning left and right, and realizing he's lost her. There's a moment where he looks dejected before his head picks up, and with determination he begins to march away. The camera pans and cuts, and we're at the top of this 3-story apartment building. A familiar door that's kind of gray and dirt with the number hanging by the side greets both of our faces as Sean walks up and gives a couple quick taps before he reaches for the door, and like always, it is unlocked. And as you swing it open, the smell of marijuana just immediately permeates your nostrils. There's a kind of a still fog that just clings throughout the room. And over just without his shirt on, with torn jean shorts that he clearly made by himself, and he's got Crocs on, kicked up on the table, is Ed. And he's about to take a huge drag off of a king-size joint.
Oh,
and as you turn around, he catches you. He's like, "Oh shit, brother! I haven't seen you in fucking forever."
I've been busy.
And he just reaches
making
out.
that. I've been making that cheddar.
Oh man, I actually thought of you the other day. I was oh god, was it yesterday? No, I think it was last week. But you know who actually swung by to see if I wanted to party that night? Fucking Drago, brother. I haven't seen him in fucking forever, and he came asking if I wanted to go party. Unfortunately for him, I was passed out on the floor, and my friend answered the door. So I got told that he was here, so he was here. But I was already off in my own la la land. I'm kind of pissed. I was a little pissed off because I never got to party with Drago before. But fuck it.
It might be easier for me to find him nowadays. Do you want me to go find him? Ask him if we should go party?
I thought you said after that you never fucking partied with him again.
Oh no, I wasn't invited. I never went looking for him either because I know his deal.
I mean, what you think you could go find him and he'll come back and give me like a second invite or something? I thought it was like a one and done thing with him. You either accept or you don't.
He might swing it for me. I
didn't know you guys were that fucking close.
Oh, I haven't seen him since I went on that bender, but
that bender was that fucking good, brother.
I think so. I don't remember much of it, so it must have been good.
I mean, I won't say no. I just don't get your fucking self killed. I know who that fucking rolls with, man. He's got big money.
I've made some friends, so big money's not that scary anymore.
Well, you're not going anywhere tonight, right? You're gonna hang out with here.
Well, yeah. Hopefully, people will come around as well.
Oh yeah, I can text a couple people. And he reaches over very lazily onto his pleather couch, and you hear his hand kind of squeak between the cushions before he pulls out an old flip phone, and he kind of flips it open. He's like, "Yeah, I'll text a couple people. We can play some COD or something."
That sounds fucking ace. Yeah, let's do that. Hey, did I tell you about this girl?
Ooh, another one?
She's not like super new in my life or anything. Known her for a bit, but like...
Oh, Sean, that's the first time I ever heard you talk about a girl more than once.
Well, the funny thing is, she found me, and then she ghosted me, and then she came back.
Oh, just don't want to hurt your ego, man. I'm sorry. Oh, that sucks. I'm sorry.
I'm
like,
still...
did she like ever see you?
Nah.
I wonder why she ghosted you then.
There was this other guy, bit of a prick, but he...
You got cock blocked. That sucks.
Fuck. The charm doesn't always work. That's what I'm saying. It's...
Gotcha.
He cock blocked, and then he fucking whisked her away, and I never actually got to have a proper conversation with her.
I hurt for you, man. My heart bleeds. He hands you the joint.
Thank you. Commiserations. Yeah. So, just kind of cut up about that.
Well, he pats the couch. Pour your heart out to me, man. That's what we're here for. That's what friends are for.
Yeah. You know what? Let's do that. He sits down, picks up a controller, and starts playing, and like...
We see Sean kind of give in and to kind of fall back into that, what a typical night would have been for Sean.
Yep. And
would
when
Sean
people arrive...
spend the night here? If people arrive and start having conversation, we see Sean kind of spend the night. Would you stay here for overnight until the sun comes up?
Yeah, that's the plan. He's gonna wait until people come over and then start probing questions about, people that have changed their habits, might be thin bloods now, and this artist Milos.
start doing your research and seeing what you can
Yeah.
get. And while while the camera kind of pans back from that, we see you having these conversations and the like. We're quickly going to once again fade out and fade in. As we fade out and fade in, night has dissipated. The sun is beginning to crawl over the horizon, and Sean is surrounded by 3 individuals who are different depths of passed out. Some can be aroused with a roll, others are gone for God knows how many hours. But you stand awake, and you can see the sun beginning to crawl up over the horizon as the streets begin to be flooded with light. And as you stand up, you can feel yourself a little weaker than maybe you would be, but feeling otherwise fine. During the day, where does Sean go? This is something we've never seen Sean really do. So where does Sean go during the sunlight hours?
Yeah, during the sunlight hours, he's probably a bit more sluggishly than usual, going to I think he's going to visit a couple of shops that he really liked and like just browse for a couple of hours, just doing normal stuff.
Human stuff.
Just normal stuff, and then take the route that he did last night and see if there's any new art that's been thrown up with the same tag.
Kind of in reverse on the way back to the club in a way where you once went. And it's kind of interesting to see Sean mingle amongst other people to kind of relive what it was to be immortal, even with that added exhaustion. There are no other kindred other than the very few who can even see daylight for maybe another hour or so before they even have to lay down for the daytime's hours. And Sean makes his way back through the alleys, looking at the art that he once saw already, maybe even seeing some art that he saw from a different angle now that the light hits it, and seeing that it actually does bring a life to it that the night just could not. And you write down a few other names along the way. And as you round the corner, making your way toward the city block where Vera's club stands, and you can see the lights are off now and the sun is fully in the sky. Standing at the edge of the city block that would lead over to Vera's club is another thin blood, one with his hands in his pocket facing you. Larson stands leaning up against a lamppost. The sun hits both of you, and as he sees you, he sits up and kind of shoulders himself off of the lamppost. He gives you a brief nod. Before words can be said, the screen cuts to black, and we'll pick up next week. I'll see you then.
Hey, Sean. Now, I'm sure you've heard Vera say no phones, but if we're going to break 1 billion followers, then I'm going to need you to do me a little favour. If you could hop onto Twitter and follow us at Pod by Night, that would be mint, and a 5-star review on iTunes ain't going to hurt either. And maybe I'll share some of them spicy DMs with you. Cheers, mate.